Crank up the volume and get ready for real-world bird hunting by listening to the Wingmen Podcast by Eastmans. Now your host, Todd Helms.
This episode of the Wingmen Podcast is brought to you by Leupold Optics. You know, I've been running Leupold Optics for a long time on the big game side of things, and I love the performance and the quality of that brand. But when Leupold brought performance eyewear into the mix a couple of years ago, I thought I'd seen it all, but I was wrong. That performance eyewear from Leupold keeps my eyes protected. It helps me with my target acquisition with a crisp, clear sight picture. And guys, I got to be honest with you, I'm stoked to be partnered with a company like Leupold. So for all your optics needs, give Leupold a look. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Wingmen Podcast. And my guest today is Matthew Hicks. This guy is a man of many talents. You guys have seen his work if you subscribe to any of the waterfowl hunting magazines, Delta Waterfowl, Gun Dog. You've been on the cover. Matthew's had stuff on the cover. He's an incredibly talented photographer. Also the owner of Last Flight Calls, and has just mastered the art of getting the most out of his physique as well. It's been Matthew, we've been just kind of all over the place trying to get this thing scheduled. It's a super busy time of year. I appreciate your flexibility, and thank you for coming on this week, man. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. You know, like you said, I have like 5 jobs, so it's hard to, with wife, kids on top of it, it's hard to carve out some time, really.
Yeah, no kidding. You said 5 jobs. What did I miss?
No, I'm just kidding. I feel like I have 5 jobs. So I got Last Flight Calls, got photography stuff I do. Those are Last Flight Calls, photography. I do insurance too on the side. Those are my main things. And then outside of that, it's family, working on the house. Just redid my bathroom this spring. I feel like I'm always doing something.
You got more energy than I do, but I tell you that. Holy smokes. Busy guy. Well, like I said, I really appreciate you jumping on here. And, when we chatted earlier and you agreed to come on, I told you I want to talk hunting. I want to talk about who you are and how you've gotten to where you are. You're an incredibly talented photographer on top of everything else that you do. And that's probably what people are going to see when they go to Instagram or any place where they could see your work. That's what's going to jump out first is your photography skills. First of all, how old are you? Because you seem like you're a young guy.
I just turned 30 in April, so.
You're a pup. Wow.
I know, I'm still young, but at the same time, it's like you can just see time flying at the same time. So
yeah, especially you said you have kids.
I got a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old.
And it seems like every week goes faster with kids that age. It's crazy.
Yeah, they just learn. You just watch them learn things day to day almost. If you leave for a weekend to go to a show, you come back and it's like, it just seems like they've already grown up a little bit, like so much in that short time, So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, no kidding. We had a deal with my 9-year-old. She just turned 9 that for her 9th birthday, she could get her ears pierced. And that's what we did on Saturday. We went and got ears pierced, and I'm watching this little girl turn into a young lady, and I'm glad. It's awesome. The way it's supposed to be, right? But I just look at myself and I'm thinking, I look back and I'm like, dude, where does the time go? It's crazy.
It's fun to see and fun to experience, but it's bitter. It's just a bittersweet thing altogether,
Yeah.
So
yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Well, give us a little bit of your journey, man, because like I said, if you just scroll through your Facebook, through your Instagram page, for example, your photography is stunning. I mean, some of the best, if not the best that I've ever seen. And that's why I wanted to visit with you. I like to have on a whole wide variety of people around the wing shooting industry, or I don't know what you call it. I guess it's an industry because we all make a living doing it.
Right.
But how did you get your 30-year-old guy? How did you get your start, and how did you develop into the level of skill that you have today?
So like I started hunting when I was 7 years old. And I strictly pretty much waterfowl hunt. I've been deer hunting. I've shot deer. Shot my first turkey a couple years ago. I do a little bit of this and that, but I mean, 95% of the time I'm waterfowl hunting. And that's what I started doing when I was 7. My stepdad got me involved in that, way for us to bond and stuff, and just kind of grew, started at 7. I was just going with him. Then at 8, I started shooting, got my, did my hunter safety, did all that. And that's kind of set the foundation for kind of the next steps of all of this. Fast forward then, I've had last flight calls for since it was like December 2017 is when we really started it. And that was just the next step of the passion, right? Of the whole thing is just keep furthering it. Like what's, let's do more. Like what's next?
Right. Right.
And so we started doing that in December 2017. No idea what we're doing. I'm not like a competition caller or anything. I'm a good caller. I'm not a competition caller. I grew up on like the hunting side of things. So that's what I use to train to do and like develop and stuff with the calls, versus like competition and, doing that. I don't know. It's just a different kind of way to get into it. A lot of guys get into it being comp callers and stuff. But anyhow, I started that December 2017. It's actually my dad started on the wood lathe in October that year. He was just pilling around. I was trying to finish college, and I was like, I ain't touching anything until I'm done in December because I just got to get this done. I hate school. I'm done with this. And so did all that. By then, Dad was kind of off the lathe and let us younger guys get on it. Me and my buddy Zach, which he co-owns it as well with me and Dad. And we just started pilling around, just turning stuff, cutting tone boards, just having fun. Sold our first one January 1st, 2018. And I just threw it up on Facebook. It sold like instantly. So I was like, oh, just do it again. Did that for a year and a half. We're just hand turning everything. And
wow, that's a lot of work.
It is. So that don't pay nothing. It's just too much time involved, and then, what you get out of them, $200 on a good day, and I was working full time. Then I'd get off work, go to the shop or Dad's garage is what it was at the time, and work there till 10, 11, midnight, go home. At the time, well, that's not good for at home life if you're never home. So we decided to kind of, I switched jobs, got the insurance job, and that helped alleviate the stress of like having to be somewhere for work, because I do it all right here in the shop now. Duck calls, insurance, everything. Got my computer, my phone. If someone needs insurance side of things, I can flip back and forth real easily. It's super easy. So that's really nice. And so that helped alleviate that. And so I'm here full time in this shop doing whatever I do now. But we did the hand turning for like a year and a half, probably turned several hundred, which was good experience, good learning, figuring out what everything is and does and whatever. But then at that point in time, we decided to get a couple CNC machines, just take the next step. It was either back off or take the next step.
Yeah.
It's kind of the crossroads we were at. And we decided let's just jump in a little further and see what happens. And just having the CNCs and inventory available, our sales went up, drastically right away. I mean, the next month just shot right up, just having the inventory available for people to buy. So, I mean, yeah, it's, moved out of the garage and got into this shop here, 6,600 square foot. But you can kind of see we keep you keep the boat and all the hunting stuff in here. You got the blinds on the wall, and
I love it.
Always, got the CNC in here, and do it all in here. So definitely nice to have. You know, you don't need 6,600 square foot to build calls, but when you got all the hut and stuff, I got the trailer, the boat in here and stuff, it's nice to have the space for sure. So, and then like the photography come in at the same time as we started the calls, because I wanted good photos, you know, for advertising and things like that. Just wanted good quality stuff to help, you know, just put in front of people's eyes and just gain attention and stuff to us. And, you know, I started with a piece of crap little camera I got at Best Buy for whatever, $400 or $500. And I hated that thing. You know, I didn't know what I was doing. You know, at the time I didn't realize how bad it was until I got my Sony A7R3. And then I realized, like, man, this thing's pretty sweet. And I just kept leveling up from there. And, you know, with the magazines and stuff, a lot of those relationships were built just from Instagram. They seen what they liked and just messaged me. And that's kind of how I do things. If it's a company or anything with photography, I just let them come to me because I'm obviously busy enough.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to turn down the work if they're
But at the same time, you're putting your work out there. You're using the channels that are at your disposal, like Instagram. That's how I found you. That's how, I mean, I'd heard of Last Flight Calls. I'd seen some stuff. But you know, I'm starting to see these things pop up in my feed, and I'm like, MD Hicks _ man, who is this guy? So I go to your Instagram page and I start scrolling through it, and I'm like, holy smokes, man, that's some serious talent. You got a lot going on. So, I mean, that's so cool at today's day and age that you can literally level something that's a free platform and make it work for you.
Yeah, it's been good. You know, it's changes all the time with like the kind of reach you get out of something.
Oh man, yeah.
This time of year is always terrible, but it just seems like Instagram's really been messing with things for the last year of like, you know, say I posted the same photo today as I did tomorrow, they're gonna be totally different engagement and all that. You know what I mean? It's just weird stuff, but
it is a head game for sure. And this time of year, like you said, it's terrible. You know, I don't care what it is. It seems like YouTube views, Instagram views. This is a tough time of year. You know, folks are out doing other stuff than hunting focus. You know, I'm constantly thinking about hunting, but I'm a weirdo, I guess.
Yeah. As soon as like the first week of February, you get past that, and hunting season pretty much closes everywhere. Other than you got conservation seasons kind of coming into play, but you know, duck season's closed, and a lot of the regular goose seasons are closed or closing, and people just burn out. I mean, I'm burnt out. You know, been grinding all year between calls, trying to get out as much as I can. The photography, like all that stuff is all related, and all that hits, you know, the same 3 months every single year. You know, so you know, by February I'm burnt out too. So nobody's really looking to buy calls or really looking to, you know, on the Instagram and stuff or post it anymore. You know, and then we start to see the uptick again. Usually you see it some in June, but like right after the 4th of July, it's like your last holiday. And then people start getting the itch, you know, your duck blind draw star, and you're able to get your hunting license, and you know, all that stuff's, you know, just in people's minds now. You know, shows are going on again, and that's when we started to see the uptick. And then basically from there to February is pretty crazy. So and then like this time of year is really, you know, our sales are really good this year compared to previous years, which is great. But this is the time of year we try to build everything, because come November I can't build enough compared to what gets bought. You know what I mean? It's just
keep up with demand.
Impossible. Yeah, it's just impossible. So this time of year we're just grinding, trying to get everything built out. That's what this time of year is all about. So
yep, we do the same thing, man. I'm trying to get podcasts recorded. I'm scaling podcasting back a little bit for the months of like June, July. I'm going to do a dog training series coming up here in the next few weeks with a buddy of mine, local dog trainer. And then we'll ramp it up again, like you said, come August, when guys are thinking about early teal season and early goose season, and the waterfowl side of things starts ramping up. Turkey season's winding down, closing down. We've been grinding doing that. I've gotten to the point where with turkeys, I try to get one really good hunt for film.
Yeah.
And then if something incidental comes up, that's great, because we just got so much other stuff. But so you talked about your progression. Basically, your photography was basically a product of necessity. You needed advertising stuff, and you had all this stuff to do, and you realized that, man, I need better camera equipment. But when I look at your photographs, I mean, that's all fine and dandy, dude, but you have an eye.
Yeah.
Did you have, and I think that's something you either learn through massive trial and error, or you just have. Did you go to photography class? What did you do? Or did you just have knew what you wanted and then work to capture it?
I kind of just self-taught on all this, really. Simply put, like, I couldn't afford to buy a photographer, or I couldn't afford to build a website. I got to figure that out myself. And then when it comes to like composing a shot, I just kind of look at what people are doing already on photography and stuff, and it's like, I want something different, or I see what works and I see what doesn't. And with photography, like, for me to gain your attention, I got to take a photo in a way that you don't normally see something. So eye level or below on a dog, which I'm sure you've heard all this before, but like, maybe put something in the foreground a little bit, or whatever, something that's going to grab your attention of, like, I've seen a dog before, but like, man, this looks cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
You're scrolling and you stop, makes you stop and look, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what I've always gone for, is I just want something that's, I know is going to catch your eye, whether how I edit it a little bit, how I compose it, all that stuff. And that's just self-taught. I didn't take any classes or anything. I just kind of, figured it out. One guy I really looked up to in photography is Lee Jose.
Oh, yeah.
He just, any podcast he's ever done, I've listened to. I get on Spotify and I just search his name, and dozen of them pop up with Big Honk or whoever it is, and I just listen to him because I just like to see it or hear it, and like to see and hear his point of view on things. And I don't know, I just try to tell that story in that photo as uniquely as I can. I don't know, it's hard to explain, because honestly, like, I didn't go to class or school for this stuff, so I don't know a lot of the right way to say things. I just know how to do it. You know what I mean?
But you did go to school in a way. You went out and you looked at examples, and then you tried to mimic, or you did go out and mimic what caught your eye. And then I think you kind of fine-tuned that and learned, and then you found people as a mentor like Lee, and said, man, I really like what he does. This guy is a master of this craft. I'm going to listen to everything he has to say. So you went to school in a way. You just didn't pay for it,
I'm one to, like, I will research something like night and day, before I do something. Like, I want to know, like, like photography, I know I'm going to get into it big time. Like, I'm researching all the ins and outs. Like, I'm going to figure out everything I possibly can. Like, and I'm not one, like, some people get on Facebook and ask questions and this and that. I'm not the one to do that. I'll just head straight to Google, YouTube, whatever, and figure it out. Listen to a podcast, figure it out. I don't like waiting for those answers, or a lot of times you don't get the answer you're looking for anyway. So,
yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I love talking to guys like you that just have made it happen. They've gone out and they're like, this is what I need. This is what I want. I'm going to figure this out. And I think that it's easier in today's day and age because we have so much information at our fingertips.
Oh yeah.
That, man, if you want to do something, just do it, because there's nothing standing in your way anymore. And then understanding the road. The other thing, I think people need to understand that skills like you've developed. None of this stuff happened overnight. I mean, how many years into the journey has your photography been?
Since 2017, 2018. So, 6 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of time just in the field too. Like I haven't talked about that yet, but like I used to spend an entire day sitting at the refuge for 8 hours and just letting the shutter button go, change the setting, click. I mean, I'm just taking a picture of everything. I mean, I've done that a lot of days, full days doing that, and just figuring it out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, experience is a great teacher. You go back, you pull a day like that, and then you go download your cards, take a look at what you captured, and out of those, say you took 1,000 pictures that day, how many of them were good? How many of them were great of what you actually wanted?
Yeah, none back then.
Yeah.
So
you look at them and you're like, these are garbage. I need to do this. I'm going to keep playing with stuff.
Yeah. Even now, if I go out on a shoot and I do 700 photos, I mean, I got a lot of them that are in focus and good, can be of use, but man, I only post the 1%, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do, 100%. It's the same thing. When we come back from a shoot, a hunt, man, especially if it's been like a 3-dayer,
yeah,
I might get 15 or 20 images that I can actually use. There's a lot of stuff that's like, oh, these are, because if your shutter's not going, you're not going to capture anything.
Right. Yeah, back then I was just letting it fly. Now I'm more selective. Now that I know what I'm doing, I guess, and looking for, more selective. But yeah, back then, and I tell anybody, just go and let it fly. Figure out what's working, what's not. I mean, that's the best way to learn, I think. I've always just been thrown in the fire on anything, so that's the best way for me to learn things, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love it. I love it. So that the couple of pictures that are just eye-catching are of that little Boykin Spaniel.
Yep.
The ones you had several cover images with. Is that your dog, or is that somebody who you went with on a hunt?
That's two different dogs.
Okay.
So the one you see on there, 99% of the time on my Instagram, that's Clyde. That's my cousin's dog, Eric Hicks. And I don't have a dog, I got people ask me all the time, how'd you train your dog? I was like, I don't have a dog. I got a cat. I don't have a dog, I just take pictures. But Clyde, you see, he's the one that's on Delta. He was on Boykin Spaniel. He's been on a lot of Boykin Spaniel Society magazine covers with me and Eric. He's a photographer as well.
Okay.
He was kind of been a mentor to me as well. But Clyde is just, he's a bigger Boykin. But he's an animal. He does make it easy to get pictures of him just because he's just so, I mean, when he goes after something, it's 110% all the time. So, there's very rarely is he going to be walking back to you. I don't know if I've ever seen that, honestly. And then the other one on the gun dog, that's Dolly. Okay. And she's from Brandywine Creek, which is in Indiana. That's where Clyde's from as well. Honestly, I just went on like a training day and just took some photos, and I mean I just happened to be right place, right time, click the button. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things, just a real low percentage shot, honestly.
Right. So, right. And I think certain dogs, we film, I've got 2 labs of my own.
Yeah.
They're both pretty photogenic. Hondo's the young one. He's kind of taken over all the heavy lifting now because Mackinaw's old. But Mackinaw was like ridiculously renowned for like almost posing. Like, it's like you pull the camera out and he's like, oh, a camera. And he'd start hitting these poses. We have pictures of him that it's like, whoa. We did a Ducks Unlimited DU calendar, and we donated all the images to that calendar for Wyoming. And I'll bet Mackinaw's in half of them, and it's like, they're just like cell phone pictures, stuff like that. So, but then I've got other friends with dogs, and I hate picking on the one guy, and I'm not going to say who it is, but his dog is the most unphotogenic animal, and he's a good looking dog, but you can't get a good picture of him. He's always got his eyes closed, or he's got a funny look, and I don't think we've got more than one or two good pictures of that dog. It's just hilarious.
I know. Yeah, I've seen that some. Yeah, some you really got to work on, like whatever it is. Like if they're sitting there looking at you, and you want them to perk up, like you got to do certain things, like act crazy for them to do anything. And others are just ready to go. You know what I mean? So yeah, I've dealt with some of that too.
Yeah, both of mine, and part of it is they're both pretty tuned in dogs, and they're steady. That's something that never ends in dog training, is you're never done drilling steadiness into your dog. By the time you think you got it, they break and do something stupid because they're a dog.
Right.
But yeah, keeping them steady and on task, both of mine, anytime you're in a blind, you look over and they're both like just sky sweeping, and that does make it a little easier to get photos of them for sure, because they know the game and they know what they're doing. But man, alive, it's crazy. It's crazy stuff. I wanted to talk about all that, your call company. I wanted to talk about all the stuff that you've got in the fire. But dude, there's one post, and the reason I want to talk about this is because it's something that's been a battle of mine forever. Mm-hmm. You have one post on here where you celebrate a transformation, a body transformation. Yeah. And you have a picture where you weigh what I weigh now in that picture, and then you built yourself down to almost 100-pound weight loss, and then built yourself back up where you put muscle back on. You're looking at I'm talking to somebody, guys, that is an incredibly busy human being. I mean, you just said it. Feels like 5 jobs, right? And you just talked about 3 between the photography, the call making, and the insurance. How in blue blazes did you find time to pull off that transformation, and how did you do it?
I just got sick of feeling like death, honestly. I don't know, man. It's just something, with all my responsibilities, the one good thing is I'm essentially self-employed through all of it, so I'm flexible. So that's nice. And honestly, no matter what, I go to the gym first, no matter what. That's like my number one priority every single day. I don't care what I'm doing. I've just got the mindset like, this is what I'm doing every day. I'm at least, going to go for an hour or whatever. And I don't know, something just clicked in me like a couple years ago. And, I was up 245, and at 5'9", that's not very good. You're a bowling ball. But so I don't know, just something clicked. I got through that last hunting season there, being that heavy, and honestly just, oh gosh, I just felt dead. Like everything hurt, neck hurt, back hurt, joints are hurting. And my one buddy asked me to go to the gym. Hey, there's a gym right here, just opened up. It's like 10 minutes away. Like, let's go check it out. Let's go. I was like, all right, let's go. Heck with it. And we went for a week together. Then he quit going. And I just kept going. I don't know. It's, I've done like diets and stuff before, keto and things, and it's just, I don't know. They work for some people, but they're not sustainable for a lot of people. Not for me either. You just feel hungry, depleted, no energy. You almost feel worse than when you started.
Yeah,
really.
100%. Agreed.
After 2 weeks, I felt worse. So, I just didn't stick with anything. And I just took a different approach, and I don't even know how or why. I just started researching again and just, got into the calorie deficit stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what worked. And honestly, that's, no matter what you see out there, because a lot of it, 90% of it is just hogwash anyways. It's people trying to sell something is all it is. No matter, you could see this ripped guy telling you one thing and another one telling you another thing. They're both lies, but they're telling you two different things because they're selling two different things. Like, it's just people selling stuff. And so you got to watch a lot of that. That's what sucks about the whole fitness world is 90% of it's a lie. And you got to get in and decipher what's not. And, I know a lot of people overthink it, but it's really as simple as if you eat too much, you're going to get fat. If you eat, less than what your body's using, you'll lose weight. I mean, it's really that simple. Now you can get more detailed into that, but
Sure.
it's that freaking simple. Like, that's it. So when I lost 80 pounds is what I did. And when I did all that, it took me 14 months solid to do that. And how I did it was I ate that 1,600 calories to 1,200 calories a day, which is like nothing, but I wanted the weight off. I tried to stay at 180 grams of protein, then I let the rest kind of fall in line wherever, carbs and fats, the other macros fall in line where they were. And that's what I did, and I lost a lot of weight. I hit 9-month mark, and that's when I hit the brick wall. And what happens is your body you've lost so much weight, you're essentially starving yourself,
Right.
honestly. And your body goes into like starvation mode. Like next steps, you're going to die. Like, you're just going to starve to death, honestly. And I wasn't like that. I wasn't like skin and bones and like about to die, but your body doesn't understand what's going on. And after a long period of being in a calorie deficit like that, your body, your metabolism slows and you stop losing weight. So from there, you got to eat more. So I'd go a week on of just eating whatever I wanted, however much. I didn't track it. That's another thing. I track every single thing I ate, just to keep myself on track. If you don't track, you really don't know what your intake is.
Yeah, you have no idea. Right.
And it can get out of control quickly. But kind of long-winded here, but
no, it's good, man.
From like the 9 to 10 month mark to get to the 14-month mark, and like probably 30 pounds in that window, I had to eat whatever for a week, boost my metabolism, and I didn't gain any weight doing that. But when I started back on the diet after a week and a half of that, the next 3 weeks was weight flew right off. And I did that then, until the rest of the 80 pounds come off, about 30 pounds there at the end. And from there I got down to 167, and I went up to 187. I did 20-pound bulk. Probably wasn't the best bulk, but I put on a lot of muscle there too. Right now I'm sitting at 175. Probably I haven't weighed myself in like a month and a half, so I'm somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And right now I'm kind of I don't like a slight surplus of calories.
Sure.
So really, like, when you get to a healthy spot, the idea is a half pound to a pound a week gain or loss, whether you're bulking or cutting, to put on, if you're bulking, that's going to help you put on the most muscle and the least amount of fat if you do it that slow. And then the same if you're losing weight, you won't lose as much muscle if you do it that slow. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of, I'm just slowly bulking, probably half pound a week right now.
Sure.
Nothing crazy. Not trying to be Arnold or anything.
You're right. Right.
But like, I feel a lot better. Like, I've started doing some running now. I got a 40-pound vest I wear, and I try to do a mile a day. Doing that takes me about 12 minutes, but just something, like when you go to the gym, I go every single day if I can. I might miss one day of the week, or sometimes I'll go 20 days in a row. you get bored of what you're doing. It's just human nature. You get bored, right? So that's why I started the running thing. I was like, I'll just do something else,
Yeah, you have to. You have to. I was a meathead, musclehead for all through my 20s and 30s, lifted like crazy and loved it. And I loved the powerlifting and strongman type stuff. I loved that. And always was on the heavier side, still am on the heavier side of where I probably should be, where I know I should be. But quite honestly, this last year, I'm just bored with the gym. I started lifting when I was 14 years old, and for football and basketball and just athletic stuff, and I've never stopped. And this last year and a half, I'm like, dude, I don't feel like taking 5 minutes and loading the squat the squat rack, or adjusting those the bars or whatever it is, or loading up the trap bar with 45s for deadlifts. And like, I'm bored with it. I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
And bought kettlebells.
Yeah.
And my wife and I do 3 days a week, do kettlebell workouts in the garage, and then we walk like as much as we possibly can. And I have not had the transformation that you have, but just trying to make sure you feel as good as possible first of all, for yourself, second of all, for my family.
Right.
And then being able to just go do hunts and be mobile. Right. And I turned 46 in May, and I feel pretty stinking good for a 46-year-old guy.
Yeah. I feel better now than I did at 3 years ago at 27.
Sure.
But yeah, like you said, do it for your family too, because like, my kids are only going to get more busy and stuff. Like, they're already crazy. I just want to be able to keep up with them too, as much as I can, and doing whatever they want to do, while you have the time to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I don't know. That was one of the things that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to hear your story about that, because I know waterfowl stuff in general, guys have a tendency to sit in a blind and eat garbage all day long while we're sitting in a blind, and it's not different. I remember when I picked up Hondo down at Southern Oak Kennels, Corey Wages with SOK Tanglefoot.
Yeah.
We got to laughing, and I said, hunting season's when I usually lose weight. And he started laughing. He said, man, hunting season's when I gain weight. What are you talking about? And I had to laugh, because what I was talking about was September and October and November, when I'm chasing big game out here in Wyoming. And it's pretty easy to lose weight. You can eat whatever you want when you're in the mountains. And if you're grinding, you're going to lose weight, right?
You're using all that energy.
Exactly. But when I'm sitting in a goose blind in January, even if it is cold, I'm still just sitting there, right. So it's interesting to hear what you said, basically the old adage of if you got a fat dog, how do you get it in shape? Well, you feed it less and walk it more, right?
You don't shoot them up with the Ozempic. You know what I mean?
I do. And I don't understand what it is about our modern society. And it's been like that forever. When I was a kid, it was Slim Fast shakes were a huge thing, and that was everybody. There's always been, like you said, there's always been a fad, whether it's a fad diet, whether it's fad supplements, or a drug, a miracle drug, and it's garbage. 99% of it. It's just hard work and dedication and discipline. You go to the gym every single day, even during hunting season?
Yeah, even during hunting season.
Wow.
I mean, I'll go after a hunt. Yeah. I mean, I'll get up at 4 a.m. that day, but I'm going to go. So usually pack my clothes or whatever, and whatever I got to do.
Right.
Direction I'm going and how all that plays out. But I'm going.
See, that's phenomenal. And I just don't think, and this is the reason, and I figured this was how this conversation was going to go, was you see someone who's just the physical transformation that you've accomplished. It speaks to everything about who you are as a person in your professional life as well. This episode of the Wingmen Podcast is brought to you by Savage. Guys, I love my Savage Renegade. You know, a couple of years ago when we first partnered with Savage, I didn't quite know what to think of the Renegade. I hadn't been able to get my hands on one yet. I love the Savage line of rifles, obviously, but the new Savage Renegade didn't take very long to win me over. And I have to say, I've put thousands of rounds through a couple different guns now, and they do nothing but go bang and kill birds, which is what I need in a shotgun. I love the fact they're tough as nails. They're super reliable. I can change the fit if I need to. So the Savage Renegade, man, that's a winner. Knocked it out of the park. Thank you, Savage. You wanted to be, you knew you needed to, you felt like crap. You knew you couldn't continue to be like that. So you made a change and saw drastic results. You needed advertising, couldn't afford it. So you did some research and you went and you did it yourself. And you dug in and you learned about stuff. You know, while you were talking about macros and calorie deficits and then your body plateauing, that's information that a lot of people probably don't understand. But you learned along the way how to do that. Same thing with your photography. The same thing with your call company. Dude, that's the kind of stuff that I love getting out of people and hearing the stories. That's what makes you a super interesting person to talk to, because the amount of drive that takes and discipline that takes is next level. And do you ever have a day where you're just like, you know what? I'm not feeling too great today. I think I'm not going to the shop and I'm just going to, chill at the house.
Yeah. The only time it's hard to come to the shop is when my family's at home, honestly. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. You just like, I want to go home. Like I want to go chase kids around, whatever. Honestly, that's when it's hard to come to the shop and go to work is when that's going on. Cause my wife's off Mondays and Fridays and I try to work those days. I end up kind of working half days a lot of times. So I get back home or come here late or whatever it is. Just so I can spend more time there. Every now and then I do get a day where I'm just like, man, I don't want to do anything. I'm just feeling burnout and overwhelmed. But at the same time, it's like I'm also the type of person that I've got to stay busy. Even last night after I got done with my day here and stuff, I went home and worked 2 hours in the garage putting up some plywood on the wall because I don't know, just something to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Another thing with like the weight loss stuff and like the calorie deficit, like to keep you from being hungry, stay busy, get your mind off of it.
Don't go sit down and watch Netflix.
Oh yeah. Oh, you'll end up grabbing the bag of chips because you're hungry and you will.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Last night, I was hungry. I got home from the shop, went on my mile run, got back at like 5:30 and I could have ate dinner, but like, I don't know. I just felt like doing something. I was like, you know what I mean? Because I just got done running and doing that. And I was just like, let's do the next thing. And I didn't end up eating until like 8:00 that night. And I really didn't feel hungry until like 7:30. I was hungry before that, but it didn't like hit me. And I didn't realize how much time had passed, just me and the boy working in the garage, just screwing around, putting up some plywood. So yeah,
that's cool though, and I think that's such, like you say, just life in general is so much of what you make it. Do you want to sit around and watch Netflix all the time? Now, saying that, I would certainly hope that at least a little bit of everybody's day or listening to this is spent listening to podcasts and watching the Wingmen YouTube channel. Lord knows I need the views.
Yeah.
No, and all joking aside, man, it's so easy to just waste time and not even think about it. And you look back and go, man, I've been on Instagram for like 15 minutes.
I've been scrolling reels for an hour.
Right. And it happens like
it happens to me.
It happens to all of us, dude. I mean, that's how, like I said, that's how I found you. I kept seeing all these awesome photographs of these boykins, and I'm going, man, who is this guy? You know, and it's taken you and I weeks to make our schedules align, which mostly my fault, but it's just a busy time of life and a busy time of year. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I don't think enough young people especially realize, that it takes work. It takes years of dedication. It takes hours and hours of practice and commitment and research and just doing it to pull off the results you want. I don't care if it's creating a successful call manufacturing company, or a successful photography business, or an 80-pound weight loss, you know?
It takes being intentional. You know, if you're not being intentional with your life, then to me, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, you're exactly right. Well, we have barely talked about hunting on this podcast at all, and I promised that we would. Oh, thanks for indulging me, man, because that's kind of where I wanted to go with this conversation, was just looking at what you do and what you've accomplished. I'm like, yeah, this dude's serious. He's got an intentional lifestyle. You know, he's definitely out there getting after it every single day, and I love talking to folks like you. I just getting a little feel for how they do what they do, because I think it helps put everything in perspective for people, or gives people some motivation to be like, well, I can do that. Get off my lazy butt, get to the gym. And I've always liked playing around with photography. I should get into that more.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, owning a call company and taking all these great pictures, you obviously hunt a lot. So what does your typical fall look like?
It's different nowadays, with the kids and stuff.
Yeah.
But, I usually try to go on one trip a year still. There's before kids and my old life, I'd be gone every weekend someplace. The one year we went to Canada five times, Yeah,
the good old days. Don't tear up on me now.
Girlfriend, which was probably a good thing anyways, but yeah. But now I try to go on one trip, maybe two. One trip's a week long, and then I might go on a weekend trip up to Michigan or something, which is just 4 hours north, whatever it is.
The promised land.
Yeah. Outside of that, I don't definitely try to hunt every weekend. Me and my cousin Eric, the one with the boy kid, me and him get together a lot and hunt. He farms, so wintertime he's not doing anything. And I'm flexible as long as I don't have to get the kids someplace. I'm pretty flexible. I don't know. If you ask me how many days a year I've hunted, it's not as much as what people think. I don't know. Maybe 30 times, I guess.
Right.
Which
right.
is probably more than most. I don't know. I don't hunt all 60 days of the duck season. So honestly,
I don't know anybody who does. Even guides, my guide buddies aren't hunting every day of the season,
people see my pictures and they're like, oh man, I want to hunt with you. You're always on the birds. And I'm like, dude, we shot one mallard in this little creek this morning, and I got some pictures of the dog. But like when people see it, they're like, oh man, it's the hunt of a lifetime. It's like, not really. Right. I just taking pictures. So
the social media, that is, people say, I hate social media. I don't hate social media, but I definitely see that it's done that to people, where it's like all it is a snapshot of a moment in time.
Yep.
And it makes it seem, we string them together to create reels or videos or stories, or just a string of posts on a page. And they're highlight reels, man.
Yeah,
they're highlight reels.
Highlight reels. I will post our group pictures of the hunt with our birds and stuff. But if you look, 95% of my posts are of one bird or no birds, a dog, guy shooting a gun, whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just try to do more than just shot 20 geese this day. You know what I mean? Because honestly, it's a lot more than that.
It is. There's all kinds of little moments in that 20 goose limit.
Yes.
That are way cooler than the pounding of the 20 geese.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's so much more going on, like ripping my sickle waders and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Which I gotta get those sent in before.
You got to switch to Shens, dude. I'm telling you. You got to switch to Shen.
Some of those too. So
yeah.
That was one company I worked with for a season there. They paid me to do some photos and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we've been really, really happy with our Shen stuff. It's good.
Yeah, I hate the it's just preference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Waders, they're gonna keep you dry and they're comfortable. They are comparable to Sitka. I just hate like the bag over the boot style wader. I'm just not a fan of that personally. That's just personal preference. I like the more sleek, slimmer. You know what I mean?
I do.
That's how I am. So, yeah, and everything else I got Sitka. So it's all got a match, right?
Yeah, we're waterfowlers are terrible with that. You know, it's kind of like I've got my Shen waders, I've got all my Cryptek stuff, all my Cryptek gear, and I can't have mismatching stuff. If I'm wearing Cryptek Flyway Dead Zone, it's got to be everything has to match that. You know what I mean? I'm terrible, just terrible that way. But that's just the way it is, and the Sitka guys are the same way. You know, it's yeah.
Yeah, look cool out there.
Real tree guys, that's part of it. Yeah, you got to look good while you're hunting it. You look good, you hunt good. I mean,
yeah, confidence, man. Keep it
that's
up.
Right. That's right. Well, where do you live in Ohio?
West Central Ohio. I live in a little town called Arcanum, about 2,000 people. We're right along 70 in Western Ohio and about 15 minutes from Indiana. So right on the edge. We hunt Indiana and Ohio both.
Right. I just giving you grief because I'm originally a Michigan guy. So
I wondered.
Yeah.
No, I'm a huge Ohio State fan.
Well, I'm a huge Wolverine fan, so
got my Troy Smith signed football and my Cardell Jones signed magazine cover and stuff hanging. Like, I listen to Ohio State stuff podcast every day. So
yeah. Oh, it's funny. You get into that, and it's like, oh, that team up north, or the Ohio State. You know, it's funny. You go back and forth, and I'm like, whatever. It's funny. I went to the only time I've been to Columbus. I was down. I don't remember what it was for. I went down there, and dude, I bet I got flipped off more driving on with Michigan plates on. I bet I got the bird more in 24 hours than I've ever gotten in my entire life.
Oh, and the rivalry is here like no other too.
Oh, yeah. No, it's the best rivalry in college sports. I don't care what anybody says.
And it's alive and well.
It is. It is. You know, I have to laugh. You know, the Michigan fans tend to have a very short memory because, we got you guys the last 3 years.
Yeah.
But in the 11 years prior to that, you beat us 10 out of 11 times.
Yeah.
You know, it was pretty one-sided. During the Jim Tressel years, those were painful as a Michigan fan.
Even on my side of things, it just kind of made it not as fun. I mean, probably for you guys too. I guess you're losing.
100%. 100%.
It took the oomph out of it. You know what I mean?
It did. It was kind of like, we're gonna get beat again. It was good to have some, and there were some competitive games in that stretch. There was a couple of games that were really tight, but
like 2 and 3 and stuff.
Right.
Some of those games, yeah. But
right. But it's good when it goes back and forth. It really is. You got somebody kicking the crap out of the other team all the time. It's not a rivalry anymore, you know.
Yeah. Right. It's not. It's just not fun to watch anymore because you already know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And like last year's game, I was honestly we were out. Well, we went duck hunting that morning. My dad and I were out duck hunting, and I recorded it, and we didn't watch it till later, and the game was over by the time we watched it. And he was cheating. He was checking the scores on his phone.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And I said, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. You know, and my wife's an Iowa Hawkeye fan.
Yeah.
She's from Iowa. And so it's like we're Big Ten family, baby. I mean, that's the way it goes. So we're watching that game, and I'm like, dude, this is kind of a nail biter. I didn't know how that game was going to turn out, and it turned out the way it was. But he's over there trying not to celebrate, and I'm like, I don't want to know. Don't tell me.
It was so back and forth, and then we had the one drive where we ran the ball most of the time and was blowing the defensive guys off the ball. But then after that, it was just like we weren't there anymore.
Yeah,
like,
and
what is going on?
You know, both those teams are coached so well, and they've got such good athletes on them that they're good. They make adjustments on the fly, and you get some momentum on a drive. That drive you're talking about, I remember. I was like, wow, that was like Michigan football drive right there.
It was.
It just ran it right down our throat.
You guys were probably worried, and we were like, yeah, let's go.
But exactly.
I was like,
yeah, they make but the defense makes an adjustment, and the next thing you know, that's not there anymore. And I don't know, it's going to be interesting. Big Ten football is going to be interesting for sure this year with the addition of those extra teams, and I think overall, I think it's going to make for a much more powerful conference than it has been in the past, for sure.
Yeah, and I like the extended playoff deal as well. It kind of takes from the rivalry, but at the same time, like just more football to watch for everyone.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So I'm all for it,
Get up in the morning and go hunt geese, go hunt ducks, get it on record, and then go watch football the rest of the day. Because we maybe throw a gym session in there too.
Right? Even just 30 minutes a day.
Yep, that's all it is. You could do kettlebell swings while you're watching football.
Think about it. If you did swings for 30 minutes straight, you'd probably be tired and worn out.
Oh, you'd be exhausted. I know I would be.
You know what I mean, though?
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys, living where you're at, you probably see a lot of wood ducks. You shoot some mallards, maybe some black ducks here and there.
Yep. So, woodies, the October season, which we get a week in October, the last week of October, basically. And you're pretty much shooting mostly wood ducks. Might get on a honker hunt here or there, maybe. Mostly just wood ducks is what you're going to do. And then here in the South Zone, we don't get to shoot ducks again until the first weekend of December.
Oh, wow.
Goose opens up like the second or third weekend of November. But we don't get to shoot ducks till December 5th, 7th, somewhere in there. Which
so that
fine.
explains that explains going to Canada, going up north to Michigan, because those seasons are way earlier.
There's time to do things, right?
Yeah.
North Dakota, we go first part of November and stuff like that. But anyways, which I like that later season, because then the ducks we take all the way till the end of January until they have to stop, which I like because it just seems like nowadays, whether it's just a different animal almost between all the hunting pressure and just the habitat and the way things are now, whatever variable you want to look at, the way the bird is now, it's just you need that weather to even get them here in the first place. And like last year, we didn't get weather. And when I mean weather, I mean mostly the cold. We need some sort of snow cover up north across Michigan. But even then, like we almost need snow cover just an hour or two north, because the geese even and the ducks a lot of times will push just to the snow line and stop, especially later in the year it gets, because they don't want to come down here anymore. Like they're done migrating. They don't. If you get past mid-January, like it's so hard to get them. So last year, we had a week of cold, but it was like, I forget, the last part of January there. I mean, right at the end, nothing moved for like a week. And all of a sudden we started seeing big push of migrators, sandhills, Canadas, the ducks. I don't know whatever happened to those. Must have just flew over us, or I don't know where they were. But, we saw all those birds. And usually at that point in time, it's like go time. Like we're hunting every single day. We got feeds everywhere. Like we're rolling. But this year, and it's every time it gets that late and they push, they don't want to go feed. They just come in, they sit on the ice, soak up the sun, knowing here in about 4 or 5 days, we're going to head back north because things are thawed. Things are thawing. It's February 1st. Like, we don't want to come down here anymore. Like, we didn't want to come down here in the first place, but we have to. So usually you get a day or two of feeding, and that's it. They're ready to go north then. So it makes it tough to be able to pattern a bird when you only got 2 days to do that.
Right.
So like the one hunt, they came down. My cousin's got a farm just outside where they roost or whatever. It's a reservoir. We're just up the hill, half mile away probably. And it's a great traffic spot, but like we knew what was going to happen. It was sunny for like 4 days after they came. And then this was the day it was going to be cloudy. And the first day it was going to be above freezing. So we're like, these birds are going to be in the field. And we knew we weren't going to have time to pattern them. So we just went. And we shot it's 5 goose limit. So shot our 10 geese between us two. And we had a great hunt. I mean, they were finishing 5 yards from us. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Like the migrators are a totally different animal than like the residents here. I mean, they're 2 totally different birds. Like,
yeah,
you get those migrators in. I mean, you got some fun hunting, but when you got to play with locals all year,
I remember that. I've said it a million times. I think the hardest bird in the world to kill is one of those big giant Canadas that doesn't ever go anywhere. And they'll live 25 or 30 years, and they live in the same exact place. They don't ever go anywhere. And by the time you're trying to kill them in January, there were times we just quit. It's like we would quit if we didn't have fresh birds. We wouldn't even hunt. You'd have feeds, but birds would go and they'd land in a far end of a field and then walk in. Or it was so hard to hunt some of those birds that don't migrate because they know every little wrinkle.
Yep, and if they can get the grass, they're going to live off that.
Yes,
as much as they can, and sometimes that's most of the year.
Yeah,
you don't get a lot of killing days really anymore. It's just unless we get those migrators. If we can get migrators, like 3 years ago we got them in middle of January. I mean, we'd go 3-4 days a week till the end of the year, limited out every single time.
Yep.
That's kind of rare anymore, though. You just most time it's not like that at all.
It's funny too. Guys from the South are listening to this podcast, and I joke about Ohio being a southern state, but guys you're talking about birds not getting to you, and there's guys down in Louisiana and Tennessee and Alabama, Mississippi that didn't see hardly any migration, or years when they don't get any. And you're talking about being quite a ways further north than they are, and you're not seeing birds. It's the same way for us here in Wyoming. Wyoming is not a waterfowl state. There's little spots where it's good.
Yep.
But if we don't get weather, we do not get birds.
Yeah, there's another factor too of when you get late in the year. The seasons up north are closed and these birds aren't pressured. But they know when they cross the border or come into a different state, that state could be open. And it's like they know that. I know they know that. And I think that's another deterrent to want to migrate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, just a thought, because they know as soon as they cross that border, it's like, oh, we're getting shot at again.
Yeah, it's like they realize they feel pressure. Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt about it, because Montana closes earlier than we do by a couple of weeks. And if we get weather after Montana closes, which the last 2 years we have, and we get the bulk of the birds, man, the first 3 or 4 days is epic. I mean, you can't keep them out of your decoys. It's just phenomenal. But it does not take very long, and they're finding little hidey holes where they don't get shot at, or we'll get a break and we'll get a Chinook wind roll through, and the temp will go from -25 up to 50.
Yeah,
and we lose all our birds. They turn right back around and they go an hour north, and we're done. Our season's effectively over at that point. And last year was really that way. Like, we didn't have birds until the last week of season, and we got deep cold. It was 40 below, 30, 40 below at one point, and just about froze our river up, which is the only water we have for our birds. And the day before the last day, I was literally out with a chainsaw and tamping bars ripping out 200 yards of ice so we had a spot to hunt. And it was stupid good. The last day of season was incredible, but man, did we have to earn it. You know?
Yeah, that's some some years you definitely gotta earn it more than others. Like, it's a lot of work sometimes. And some of our best hunts too are on the reverse migration. Even last year after that cold, we had birds here, but they also a ton pushed south too, even further south.
Yeah.
And so actually hitting them on the return was a lot better than hitting the birds that were here for 4 days.
Right.
Which if you get on my Instagram, you'll see a picture of us hunting like a flooded field, and Clyde, that Boykin's carrying back a Ross. That's from that day. All those migrators pushing back north.
That's cool.
We had a day of that though. That was it. That's what stinks. But man,
it's fun
because we saw so many different species. Like shot that Ross, shot a blue goose, and we see those birds every now and then, but they don't frequent this area at all. Right. And even specks are becoming more frequent now in this area, but we don't see a lot of them either. So it's always cool if you can get into some of them, or even just see them. Honestly, it's kind of cool. But
right. So talk about your calls for a minute, and then we can kind of wrap this up. And you and I have been talking for a long time, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this. But last flight calls, give us a rundown of your lineup. If guys want to go on to your website, I imagine they could just Google last flight calls or go on Instagram, find it, Facebook, wherever. But call companies anymore, guys have thought up all these crazy cool names for all their different calls.
Yeah.
How do you know when I go check out your calls and I want a duck call? What am I looking for? I want a goose call. What am I looking for? Give us a rundown.
So we got a few different. I'm gonna take you on a tour.
I love it.
This is like a lot of illusions I got in here. This is our single read. This is what it looks like. Man, like when I designed all these calls, me and Zach, and everybody, when we design these calls, the idea is they fit everybody, right? I mean, you got to appeal to the masses if you want to sell to the masses. But you can tune them stiffer or lighter, whatever, but they're kind of middle of the road. So they're single read, it's easy to blow, it's super raspy, it's got a shorter barrel than most. The barrel is 2 3/4 inches long. It's kind of a bigger call than most. You kind of see it in my hand. But I like it. That was our first duck call that we come out with. Then we come out with the Illusion, which we got in this cabinet here. But this is our double read.
Oh, cool.
It's a smaller platform. It is based off the same tone board as the Illusion, modified a little different to accommodate a second read. Honestly, I get a lot of guys that they blow, I need a single read, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, here, just try this. And a lot of guys end up liking it too, because it kind of blows similarly to a single read, even though it's a double read. You still get that back pressure, but there's something about like the rasp and the looseness to it that you kind of get with the single read.
Yeah.
So those are the two acrylic duck calls we have. I do every now and then make a miniature series call. Let me set my phone up real quick here. And when you look at these side by side, this is a mini Illusion. So overall, this call is like 3.5 inches long. I mean, but they sound good. I don't know if that comes through or not, but the mini is like one of my favorite calls. But I don't make a lot of them. It's kind of a specialty deal.
Sure.
So, and then I also have like a I have a polycarbonate call called the Tear. I'll pull one out here real quick. This is our $30 call, which I don't have one tuned up right now, but it's based off the Imposter, and we just named it the Tear. It does sound a little different than the Imposter. It's polycarb. It's $30, and I got a lot of people that love it for $30. You know, even though it's more of a mass-produced deal, right? Mm-hmm. And $30, I sit here at this little desk, sand and file on each one because I want it to sound right. And sometimes you can't. It just goes in the trash.
Sure.
So, and then I do an Imposter hybrid, which I'll take the polycarb and put it in an acrylic barrel. And we sell a lot of those at shows. We sell those for like $50. Something that, you know, guys don't want to. They want something a little fancier than a Tear, but don't want to pay, you know, $140, $120 for. Yeah. But here I just a few different options on those.
Yeah, those look great.
So that pretty much rounds it up for the duck calls. We do a ton of limited runs, just like I like having fun with it, right? And I got the machines in house. I got the lasers, the CNCs. I do it all here. I got the ability, and I've set it up to where I could do just fun stuff.
Wow.
Like this. Couple of these left.
Oh yeah, Road to 100, baby.
Yeah,
Ryan Bassam, that's you.
A couple of those left. Just stuff I have fun with, and like if you get on there now, like in the Illusion, we've got like 30 different color variants available. So we just make whatever because it's fun.
Would you make me a University of Michigan call?
Yeah, I don't know about that. That one will probably cost you.
Oh, I see.
I made
Bengals, baby. I love it.
Fun stuff like that. So like now I'm showing you goose calls.
All right.
So this one here, I'll start with the Deceiver. So this is the Deceiver. It's our biggest goose call. Biggest one in the lineup. It's your advertised as your big goose, deep honk, whatever. You can get down and gravelly with it. It's also very, very loud too. But you know, that's our Deceiver. And then we got the Headliner, which is this guy here. It's slimmed down a little bit on the diameter, but also on the length. So it's about 1/2 inch shorter. That gives it a little bit more responsiveness, quickness to it, pitchiness to it. Yeah, it's lightweight. Pretty cool call. It's called the Headliner because a lot of guys will use it on stage.
Okay.
Got a few guys. That's kind of why we designed it, so those guys could use it for that. Then we got what's called the Deception, which is this little guy here.
Like a cackler call?
It's kind of how it's advertised, or a traffic call, but it's about 1 inch shorter than the Deceiver. Yeah, that one's just super quick. Air flows right through it.
Yeah.
Tune it up a little light, and it just, I mean, traffic, cacklers or whatever lessers, you can rip on it pretty good. And then we do offer a spec call too.
Oh, cool.
So call this the Pure Spec, and start offering that just because guys have simply been asking for it. Been getting more messages, and even we went to a show this spring in Indianapolis, and I mean, I missed out on a lot of money because I didn't have any specs made up. But you didn't expect it because a lot of guys in this area aren't buying them. But we were just like, all right, we got to do it, right? So we made that last fall. I've actually had that call made up for 3 years probably, but just added it to the lineup last fall. Just when it made sense, I guess. But
right.
Again, I try to just have fun with it. Do like this limited run stuff. Got them designs on there. I don't know, just something for everybody. You know, so you're not just getting a basic call. Everybody has an opportunity to get something kind of cool and unique and fun. And again, tons of color variants and all those different models I just showed you. So
So, folks can find all this on your webpage.
Yeah, lastflightcalls.net. Search us on Instagram, whatever. Shoot me a message if you ever have questions on any of it, because it is a lot. I mean, I'm just breaking the surface of it, really.
I can only imagine what I'd see if I was actually in the shop.
But we also do lanyards as well. If anybody's
cool.
ever, we run these for $30 too. It's a 4-call drop, and then you get a whistle drop or a remote. It's just a hook, so whatever you want to put on it. And we got 7 different colors of that, 6 different colors of that. So
that's
kind of
awesome,
cool.
Dude.
But yeah, man, this is what it's all about.
Yeah, I love it.
So trying to think of anything else. I'm looking around. we make our own hats here and stuff. Cut our own reeds. Got my laser. It's all going down here. So yeah,
one-stop shop. I love it.
Keeps us busy, that's for sure.
Yeah. Plus, I can get a life insurance policy.
I don't do life. Property and casualty.
Nice. That'll work.
Less to deal with.
Yeah. No, that is true. So, dude, that is super cool. That is awesome. You guys listen to this, go check this stuff out on Instagram, go to Facebook, go find them on the web, check them out. Give Matthew a call if you have questions. This has been phenomenal. I've really enjoyed our time together, and I'm going to let you go. You're a busy guy.
Yeah.
I've got one question that I try to close out most of my guests with. If you could only hunt one bird one way, what's it going to be?
It's good to be a greenhead. And honestly, probably, I haven't done green timber or any timber really, just because we don't have that here, and I haven't paid to do that. I just say greenhead over water, if I had the choice. So yeah, that's what I would do.
Love it. Simple, straightforward. Cool, man. Well, thank you again for jumping on, dude. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I'll let you go about getting to the gym or whatever it is you're going to do right next. So
some orders. So
awesome. I love it.
Yep.
Well, guys, that was Matthew Hicks, jack of a lot of trades and master of at least 3. We talked about a lot of cool stuff. You guys have to check out the complete episode. We talk about duck and goose calls. We talk about health and fitness. Matthew has dropped over 80 pounds on his fitness journey and continuing to cram through that. And we even get into the Ohio State University of Michigan rivalry, as we're sitting on opposite sides. But the one thing that connects us is waterfowl hunting. And so you guys are going to love this podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, we'll see you in the field.